Yeah, right. Well, I've decided to start videoing some of the bits and bobs that we get up to in the workshop and out on site. Um, Today we're in the workshop. I am making a holder for the spare wheel. We recently bought a Ivor Williams plant trailer, and for some reason it's missing the holder for the spare wheel. So I've got a bit of scrap metal that was in the workshop, so I'm going to make something up. So I've measured it and centered. So we're just about to drill a hole with the mag drill. Need 19mm bolt to go through. So we'll get all that set up and see how we go. To find the right size first. We've got a 90mm. Turning up. Oh, we're getting closer. I haven't got a 19. You go from 18 to 20. That's helpful. Okay, right. Well, we'll do it at 20. That'll do. That'll do the job. Centerpiece. Goes in through there. Find a Allen key that will do the job. Do the job. I always wind them back in because when the drill's in storage, they have a tendency to fall out, and I don't want to waste time looking for it every time I want to use the drill. So we'll get it all done up. Before we start drilling, centre punch it. Find a centre punch. Knockometer. Where's the centre punch? Tell you what, I'll use that instead. Let's mark that. Drill back on. I'll tell you what, let's turn it round in it. Right, plug her in. Always helps when it's plugged in and switched on, doesn't it? Right, magnet on. Bit of lubrication. Can't see anything out of them, which is helpful. That's better. Got all that cleaned off and drilled up, ready to go. Let's take it all apart, clean it up, put it away. And then, yeah, bit of spray paint and find a nut for the bolt and we should be well away. There's one tool I never thought I'd actually need or use was a mag drill. Somebody was going to throw it in the skip because it wasn't working. They just went out and bought a new one because some people have got more money than sense. So I had it because I like tinkering with tools and bits and bobs. Took it apart and all it was a little wire come off the back of the on-off switch, and put it all back together and away it goes. And I've used it no end of times now. It's one of them tools you think, oh, probably never going to use one, but hey, if I can get it going, I can get it going. But it's a really handy tool. Use it quite regularly for different jobs. Well, for drilling holes. What else do you use a mag drill for? So yeah, that's that. It's really handy. It's an Evolution. Yeah, brilliant bit of kit. And well, there it is. Just sprayed up with a bit of Hammerite Silver Smooth to do the job. Nothing technical. Job done. So task number 2 today is this hydraulic power pack we've been given to look at by a local contractor. He's told me it doesn't work, but he hasn't told me what doesn't work, so I don't know whether it's the engine side or whether it's the hydraulic side or what, but we'll go through it, do the usual checks and see if it will fire up. If it fires up, then we know it's hydraulic side. Got a Honda, I think GX240? No, GX270, 9-horse engine. Pretty similar to the JCB Beaver pack, but it's a belle. So we'll see, we'll find out. Got some petroleum in there. It's always a good start, doesn't smell too funky, but let's see, do we have oil? Yeah, we've got oil, and it pedals out like it normally does. On-off switch works. Choke is already on. Has somebody already been fiddling? Oh, look, let's see if it will start, shall we? Bloody hell. Somebody got it onto flow, put it back onto bypass. That's better. No. So it might be engine side then. Normally a Honda would have gone by now. So what we'll do then is we'll switch fuel off, if I can, with the other stiff, at the bottom of the carb I think, and see what mess we've got in there. I would imagine there's a bit of water and a bit of detritus in it, I would imagine. We'll have a look and find out, and find the sockets and everything I need, and we'll come back to you. Right, air filter cover off. Been maintained regularly by the look of it. Not as dirty as I thought it was going to be. Get that off, have a look inside, see what we got. God, it takes for ages on doing these things. Bloody hell. Somebody's mangled the seal in the bottom, look, that's Sinbad days. Right, let's get that cover off. Right, so we've got that off. 2 bolts on there and 1 bolt in there which sits on that top side there. I think probably the best thing to do is we'll take the carb off and put it on the bench because it's a bit crappy. Right, so we've got to take the throttle linkage off and the governor spring, or the throttle spring. Fuel line off, probably drain the tank because the fuel didn't smell too good. And we'll have a look, see what we've got to do. Right, so we've got the carb on the bench. First thing we'll do is we'll just give it a bit of blow off, trying to get some of the rubbish out from around it. And again, I can't see anything out of these goggles. colour crop on that. Put some fresh blue tar down. Right, 10mm socket, as usual, they're tight as. There we go. Bit of crap in there. Not too bad, I've seen a lot worse. Take the float off. Needle doesn't look too bad, looks half decent in there. Hold off fuel tap. Not too bad. We'll give it a blow through and see how it goes. I don't think that fuel tap gets used regularly. Oh, it's stiff. Oh, like a screwdriver, take the little jet out. Hopefully that'll do the job. Nope, too small, not too big. Oh, I need a bigger workshop. Try that one. See if that's any better. Usual. Usual story, nothing wants to come out. Bit WD down, see if it just soak it in for a minute. And I'll get this out and I'll get back to you. Right, so I couldn't get that out and I didn't want to mangle it up and damage it, so we've left it in there, but I've blown it through and it's coming out alright, so we'll put it all back together and see how it goes. It doesn't look too bad, to be honest. Everything seems to work alright, it looks pretty clean. We'll put it back together and get it on. Oh, Betty, on you go. There we go. And don't forget the little spring, which is always a fiddle. Right, that's all back on. By the look of that, that seems to just run flat out all the time. That's your pipe back on. clamp back on. Probably can't see it up because my hands are in the way, but they're not the easiest things to work on. They are easy, but they're not easy to film and do it at the same time. Put that back on. Gasket on the right way round. Which is not the right way round. That is the right way round. Back on. To make these things easy to work, at least the JCB you can lift the cage up around it. This seems to be a fixed cage, which is a bit of a struggle. Don't forget to put your breather pipe back on. And switch your fuel back on. Most importantly though, don't forget your choke lever, which I seem to have forgotten. Which is down here. There we go. Pull that back on. Nut and bolts. Get some fresh petroleum in a minute. I've drained the tank. Some fresh stuff. And see if it's got any life. It could do with a new seal, but I'm not going to go buying parts for it until we know that it's half alive. So I've got parts for these anyway, so on the shelf, so I won't have to order any, luckily. Definitely need a new effort. I'm not going to bother putting the cover back on until we know it all works. Luckily, because I was in such a rush on Friday evening after work, I didn't bother putting the fuel can back in the fuel safe. So it saves me going over there and unlocking the fuel safe. It's sat right next to me. Which is right now, but ideally it should have been locked away. In its fireproof box. Yes, it's two-stroke, but it ain't going to make much difference. I haven't got any neat petrol with me at the moment until we go to the garage tomorrow morning. That should do a day's work with it. How do I do with... There it is. I have a tendency of putting things down and then forgetting what I've done with it. Right, so switch is on, gill is on, choke is on. Let's see if we've got any life, shall we? Yeah. Better check whether we've got a spark or not. Oh, typical Bosch plugs. What's wrong with NGK? Oh, plugs look pretty clean, to be honest. Do we have any spark though? Is the key. As usual, there's nothing to ground out on these plugs. Ah, I don't think. We haven't got a spark. Interesting. I will have a look and get back to you. Right, so what I've done is just a test. I've just disconnected the on-off switch, pulled it over, and we seem to have a nice, lovely spark. So, just gonna put it back on, HT lead back on, and see if we have any life. I suspect it might be a faulty switch. Yeah, faulty switch, I think. So we disconnect that switch again. There's the problem there. Faulty switch. So, plot twist. It's not a faulty switch. I've never worked on these bow ones before, so I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I'm used to working on the JCB Beavers. I've had a few of them in and out, but it turns out on these bows they've got a little float, which if the hydraulic oil level is too low, it won't start. So I put that wire back on, which I thought was the faulty switch, is not. That wire comes from that float switch. So if I hold the float up and start it, it starts. So we can fill it up with oil, and that'll solve that problem. Right, so she's now full of oil. It's taken 2 litres of hydraulic oil, 46. We will see 46 spec oil, and we will see if it'll start, which it should do now, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Switches are on, everything's back connected. Running sweet as a nut now. Nice little power pack. A bit lighter than the JCB as well. And the hydraulic side works as well. Right, so now the power pack's all done, we will be moving on to our next project from the same contractor. Still TS400, needs looking at. This is how it was sent to me. We do like a puzzle. But, normally when the exhaust is off, normally means a rebuild. Which, yes, definitely needs a rebuild. So looks like we'll be getting a full rebuild kit for this, and when the parts arrive, we will do a video on it. Shouldn't be too bad a job, as long as all the nuts and bolts and everything are there. Otherwise it could be an interesting job. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe if you fancy. I wouldn't if I were you. But anyway, thanks. Bye.